The Jack Welch Management Institute at Strayer University helps you go from, I know the way, to I've arrived with our top 10 ranked online MBA. Gain skills you can learn today and apply tomorrow. Get ready to go from make it happen to made it happen. And keep striving. Visit strayer.edu/Jack Welch MBA to learn more. Strayer University is certified to operate in Virginia by Chev and has many campuses, including at 2121 15th Street North in Arlington, Virginia.
This is a message from sponsor Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was getting frustrated by your forms. Now, Taxes is uploading your forms with a snap, and a TurboTax expert will do your taxes for you. One who's backed by the latest tech, which cross-checks millions of data points for absolute accuracy, all of which makes it easy for you to get the most money back, guaranteed. Get an expert now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. See guaranteed details at TurboTax.com/guarantees.
All right, so today we're going to be looking at how being an introvert can actually give you a leg up in the job search.
Yeah, that's right.
We're diving deep into this book called Introverts. Leverage your strengths for an effective job search.
And it's a really fascinating take on the whole process, you know? It's not just about, polishing your resume and
Right.
sending out applications. It's like this bigger picture.
Yeah, it seems like it's more of a holistic view.
Totally. It's like a roadmap for your career.
And he uses this idea of a wheel of job search, right?
Yeah, exactly. The wheel is this way of thinking about the job search as like this interconnected thing.
So not just focusing on one thing.
Right. It's got 8 different areas.
Yeah.
Everything from mindset to skills to, like what you actually want to do.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's acknowledging that like all these other parts of your life can impact your job search.
It's all connected. So like, let's say you're going into a job interview and you're like completely burnt out.
Right.
It doesn't matter how amazing your resume is,
Yeah, you're not going to come across well.
Exactly. You're not going to have that energy.
So it's about taking care of yourself too.
Absolutely. And another thing the book really emphasizes is that your job status doesn't like define you as a person.
Oh, that's so important.
There's this great story about a neurologist who was unemployed and he felt completely worthless.
Wow.
Yeah.
I could see how that would happen.
He felt like he was a zero without a job.
Oh, that's a tough place to be.
And the author's response was so powerful.
What did she say?
She basically said, you're not a zero. Your skills and experience are still there.
Right.
You're just in between jobs right now.
That's such a good mindset shift.
Yeah. And it's so easy to get caught up in that feeling like you are your job title.
Especially when you're looking for work. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why the book talks about this idea of a proactive job search.
Okay, so what does that actually look like in practice?
So instead of just like reacting to job postings online, just applying to everything.
Right, kind of blindly sending your resume out there.
Exactly. You're being more strategic. You're researching companies that you're actually interested in.
So you're choosing where you want to work.
Exactly. And you're reaching out to them directly.
Oh, that makes sense.
You're taking control of the process.
And I can already see how that would play to some of those classic introvert strengths.
Right.
Like, introverts are often really good at research and being thoughtful and really understanding something before they jump in.
It's like using those natural tendencies to your advantage.
And that kind of leads into this next idea of balancing your long-term vision with your short-term needs.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go after those big dreams while still paying the bills?
Right. So the book you really think about what would your ideal work situation be?
Like, what would actually make you feel fulfilled?
Yeah. What would your perfect work day look like?
But then there's that whole practical side of things, like, I need a paycheck now.
Of course. And that's where the book uses this great example of Zara.
Okay, tell me about Zara.
So she had this dream of working for a very specific type of company.
Okay.
But she also needed a job like right away.
Right.
So what she did was she took a series of short-term contracts.
So she was still working.
Yeah, and she was actually gaining experience in the field that she wanted to be in.
So it's like strategically working towards that long-term goal.
Exactly. It's not always an either situation.
Right. And it's about being adaptable, which I think is something that introverts can be really good at once they
find their groove.
Yeah, once they find their groove.
Yeah. And, to make all of this work, you really need to have the right mindset.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
The book talks a lot about how, introverts tend to be really good at reframing negative thoughts.
I can see that, yeah.
They can be very self-motivated.
But it's still so easy to get discouraged during a job search.
Oh, totally. Especially when you're, sending out applications and not hearing back. And
Right. It can feel like a real emotional roller coaster sometimes.
It is. And so the book actually shares this great story about someone who completely shifted their mindset.
Oh, really?
And started using LinkedIn in this really proactive way.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about that.
So they actually ended up landing their dream job because of it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's really inspiring.
It's one thing to talk about these strategies in theory, but it's so much more convincing when you see how they actually play out in real life.
Totally. And speaking of strategies, the book has a whole section on specific job search techniques that are particularly well suited for introverts.
Okay, give me the scoop. I'm all ears.
So one that really stands out is the informational interview.
Okay, I've heard of those, but I'll admit the word networking kind of makes me cringe a little bit.
Yeah, I get it. It can feel really forced and awkward, especially for introverts.
All right, like, do I have to go to those big networking events and try to be all outgoing?
Exactly, but that's not what this is about at all.
Okay, so what is it about them?
Informational interviews are more about genuine curiosity.
Oh.
It's about gathering information,
So instead of seeing it as this, like, salesy thing,
Right.
it's more about learning.
Exactly. It's an opportunity to connect with someone who's already doing what you want to do.
I'm liking this already.
And, introverts are generally great listeners, so
That's true.
you can ask thoughtful questions, you can really soak up the information, and you can build a genuine connection with that person.
Yeah, without feeling like you have to put on a performance or anything.
And you never know, that conversation could lead to something unexpected.
Like what?
Like maybe they know of an unadvertised opening, or they're just so impressed with you that they recommend you for a position.
It's like planting seeds.
Exactly.
Without the pressure of it having to lead to something specific right away.
Now, another strategy the book talks about is the pain letter.
Pain letter? That sounds kind of intense.
Well, right? It sounds a little intimidating, but
What is it?
it's actually a really smart approach for introverts who, love to solve problems.
Okay, I can see that.
So instead of sending a generic cover letter that just kind of lists your skills, you would research a company and identify a specific problem that they're facing.
So you're almost like turning the job search into a research project.
Kind of, yeah. You become a detective,
I like it.
You're digging into their website, industry reports, news articles, anything you can find.
To really understand what their challenges are.
Exactly. And then you craft a letter that says, hey, I see you're struggling with this, and here's how my experience can help you solve it.
So you're positioning yourself as the solution.
Exactly.
Not just another applicant.
And the book gives you really specific tips on how to do this effectively.
Like what kind of tips?
Like how to find the right contact person, how to tailor your message in a way that's compelling but not pushy.
Okay, that's super helpful. What about LinkedIn?
LinkedIn.
I feel like that platform can be a little overwhelming.
Especially for introverts. Yeah.
It's all about self-promotion and...
Yeah, it can feel very inauthentic.
Right? Like you have to be this super polished version of yourself.
But the key is to use LinkedIn strategically.
Okay, so how do you do that?
So instead of trying to be someone, you're not focused on showcasing your expertise and your thought leadership
Okay.
in a way that feels genuine to you.
So like using your writing skills to craft a really compelling profile.
Exactly.
And share your insights on topics that you're passionate about.
Yes, and connect with people in your field. Join relevant groups. Engage in meaningful discussions.
So you're building a network and gathering information.
And you can even use LinkedIn to research companies and identify people who might be open to receiving a pain letter.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, so it's a really powerful tool when you use it the right way.
It sounds like a lot of this is about playing to your strengths and finding ways to stand out in a way that feels authentic to you as an introvert.
That's exactly it. It's about leveraging your introverted nature, not trying to fight it.
Yeah, it's like working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And that can also mean like taking breaks when you need them,
Oh, yeah. Self-care is so important.
Yeah, especially during a job search. It's so easy to get burnt out if you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, you got to recharge.
And the book also talks about the importance of listening to your intuition.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Introverts tend to be very in tune with their inner voice.
Yeah.
So paying attention to those gut feelings can be really valuable.
Like those times when something just feels right or wrong.
Exactly. And sometimes those seemingly random moments of serendipity can lead to amazing opportunities.
Oh, I love that.
Like I had a client who gave some unexpected advice from someone they met at a coffee shop.
Wow.
And it completely changed the course of their job search.
Really? It's like those little nudges from the universe.
Exactly. And speaking of big picture thinking, I know the book also talks about this concept of the high dream and the low dream.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about that.
So the high dream is like your ideal scenario. you know?
Okay.
The job you would absolutely love, even if it doesn't exist yet. And then the low dream is something more attainable in the short term.
Okay.
Maybe a stepping stone that can help you gain experience and get closer to that ultimate goal.
So it's like having both a big vision and a practical plan.
Exactly. And sometimes that low dream opportunity ends up being even better than you expected.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, it opens up doors you hadn't even considered.
So if you had to pick one big takeaway for our introverted listeners, what would it be?
I think the most important thing is to remember that being an introvert is a strength, not a weakness.
I love that.
Especially in the job search, you know, you have these incredible skills, you're thoughtful, you're a great listener, you do your research, you connect with people on a deeper level.
Yeah, it's about using those strengths to your advantage.
Exactly, and finding strategies that feel authentic to you, you know?
Right. So instead of trying to be the loudest voice in the room,
Yeah.
you can stand out by being the most insightful one.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to take your time. Ask thoughtful questions, really understand a company's culture before you jump in.
That's great advice.
And remember, a proactive approach is key, you know?
Yeah.
Do your research craft. Those compelling pain letters, use LinkedIn strategically, and most importantly, believe in yourself.
It's all about owning your introversion.
Exactly.
Well, this has been so insightful. I feel like we've just scratched the surface of this topic.
Oh, yeah, there's so much more in the book.
If you want to really dive deep and learn more about all these strategies, be sure to check out Introverts. Leverage your strengths for an effective job search.
It's packed with even more tips and insights that we didn't have time to cover today.
And who knows, maybe your dream job doesn't even exist yet. Maybe you're the one who's going to create it.
Now that's a thought.
That's something to think about. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll catch you next time for another insightful exploration.